Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today, too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
With Uber Reserve, you can book your Uber ride in advance, 90 days in advance. Perfect for all you forward thinkers and planning gurus. Reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. Uber Reserve. See Uber app for details.
Hello and welcome into the Birds of the Round Table for our 7th straight victory edition of the podcast. The Eagles jump out to 9-2 after a victory over the Rams, and we've got a potential game of the year, dare I say, a potential Super Bowl preview coming up this weekend when the Eagles visit the Baltimore Ravens. Welcome into the show. I am your host, Shane Haff. Give me a follow on Twitter at Shane Haff NFL. Joined by the whole crew. We'll go around the clock here. First up, it is Dives. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. At him on Twitter and ask him when he's going to join us again for a post-game show. Dives, how you doing?
I'm alive. I'm finally alive. I was dealing with a big-time cold last week, but we're back.
All right. Well, glad you're feeling better off that injury report and back on the field, so to speak. We are also joined by David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. David, I saw Wicked last night, and the green on your background here, it's always there, but it just hits a little different tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm paying homage to you, man. It was all by design. If I knew a song to sing, I'd do it for you, but I'm out of lyrics.
Go ahead.
You don't want me. If I start singing on a podcast, everybody's going to tune out. Trust me on that one. Also joined by Ryan. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, why don't you sing a song for us today?
You don't want that. And also, I need about 8 or 9 beers in order to doing that. But listen, we can arrange it. I just need time to prep.
Guess we could always go with the rousing rendition of Fly Eagles Fly. That's a little more chanty, doesn't require much vocal range. We could probably pull that off. But you guys didn't come here to hear us sing. You came here to hear us talk about football and whatever other random tangents we take. And we're going to start off, as we always do, with a recap of last week's game. The Eagles get the victory over the Rams. Looked shaky at times in the first half, and then the Eagles really poured it on, especially, opening the second half with a 70-yard touchdown run. I was watching the All-22 film, and I just watch one side of the ball at a time. And so I was watching the defense, and when you get the sack to end the half, and then the Rams have the ball with like 14:52 left in the third quarter, and I was like, wait, I thought the Eagles got the ball after halftime. And I had to go check the box score before I remembered, 70-yard touchdown run. But let's start on the offensive side of the ball and go offensive takeaways. Ryan, I'll throw it to you first. What was your offensive takeaway in this one?
Yeah, listen, it's hard not, when you have the first pick here, to not talk about Saquon Barkley and the rushing offense. The offensive line, by the way, needs to get 1,000,001 shout outs for the excellent job that they did on Sunday night. But Saquon Barkley is right now, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, free agent signings the Eagles have had, certainly in the last couple of decades here. But this might go down as, one of those, Marshall Faulk or Eric Dickerson type, where, their first year with a new team, it's, their best statistically, and it already is for him. But he's on pace to break the rushing record. He's on pace to break the all-purpose yards. And if it wasn't for 78 tush pushes, he might be on, pace to break some touchdowns too. But Saquon Barkley is everything and more than we could have ever hoped for. And, thank you, Giants, and F you to every national pundit like Nick Wright, who thought this was the worst thing in the world. So,
yeah, Saquon Barkley is on pace to have 240 more all-purpose yards and 4 more touchdowns than Adrian Peterson did when he won the MVP in 2012. So it's certainly been a special season for him so far. Hopefully he's able to keep up the pace. We've got a comment here from Crabby Old Man. It'd be awesome if you guys did a weekly breakdown of offensive line play.
Can I just break in there? We found out very important information that it's actually pronounced Oldman, like Gary Oldman.
Ah, okay. I did not know that. Wait, when did we find this out?
Well, last night he was. We were on Party on Broad, me and this guy.
Okay.
And, he dropped that knowledge on us. So again, apologize for all of the times we called you old man.
Yeah,
that was Oldman.
Yeah, my apologies. I guess there's not a space there. That makes sense. I just thought it was like, it never crossed my mind that might be a last name. I just thought it was a crabby old man. So Crabby Oldman.
Right.
There we go. Breaking news on the podcast. That's great. So we need the pronunciation guide. If we're pronouncing your name wrong and you're a regular commenter, be sure you let us know here in the comments. It's the interactive experience here on the podcast feed. But yeah, the offensive line the offensive line is just always incredible. And I will get in. Well, I'll be honest. Johnny will get into breaking down run game tomorrow when we do on the Shane Page, because that's his jam. But I'm sure we will get into it some more there for sure. David, I'll pivot over to you next. What was your big offensive takeaway in this one?
It's Stoutland University, man. It is unquestionably that offensive line. They dominated early. It just wears on you mentally and physically. And at first, the Rams have talent on that defensive line. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk were making plays. They're both really good players. But as you see, as the offensive line just keeps on wearing you down, eventually big plays happen. And they're getting explosive plays from the running game that most people don't get in the passing game. Stoutland has built the best offensive line in the NFL. And you couple that offensive line with dynamic playmakers behind them, it's difficult to slow down. And the most encouraging thing to me about this is this running game travels well. This is not going to be affected by domes, outside, rain, wind. You're not going to have to worry about any of these factors. This thing is going to travel all year long wherever they have to play. So this is one of the most exciting developments I've seen. Everybody always said the Eagles don't need to pay a running back because they already have a good running game. Well, you see what happens when you put a dynamic running back behind a great offensive line. It's become a cheat code. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got another comment coming in here asking about the success Howie has in dealing with the Saints. You get Malcolm Jenkins, Darren Sproles. What was the slot corner's first name?
Patrick
Robinson. Yeah, I could not remember his first name. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Zach Bond. I mean, if we were going to rank those, let's just rank those real fast. It's got to be Malcolm's number 1, right?
Easy. Yeah.
Is Zach Bond number 2? I mean, Sproles was here for a long time, but he was never like a feature guy.
Yeah, Zach Bond's playing like an all-pro. It's got to be.
Then I'd go Sproles.
I mean, does
Patrick Robinson.
Does Bond count? It was a free agency signing. It wasn't dealing with the Saints technically.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the Saints for letting him get out of the building.
Yeah, either way, Saints, thanks. Well, we always give thanks to the teams who don't care about their good players, and we scoop in. So thank you, Giants.
And we're thankful to the Giants, too. So
yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everybody making our team better, for sure.
Titans get a shout-out as well.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Well, Dives, I'll throw it to you next. What is your top offensive takeaway from this one?
For me, it was definitely the offensive line. You guys crushed it. I mean, 213 rushing yards came before contact from Saquon Barkley. That's insane. We could go on and on about the offensive line. I'll go into A.J. Brown. I thought he was awesome on Sunday night, and Saquon's greatness overshadowed quite possibly one of the better A.J. Brown games. Super quiet game, over 100 yards and a touchdown. Dominant again. He's unstoppable. So as Barkley and Jeff Stoutland all deserve their flowers. Everyone on that offensive line, from Mekhi Becton to Landon Dickerson to Cam Jurgens, you go on and on. But A.J. Brown had a quiet but great game.
Yeah, just it's seriously like the most casual, quiet, 109-yard touchdown game ever. He's not even a blip on the radar, and you look down and he's got 109 yards and a touchdown. So awesome. Great performance from A.J. Brown, especially, Devontae Smith out, and the offense just functions at a high level anyways. Scoring, they scored on 7 of 9 possessions, excluding end of game. And one of the 2 they didn't score was that weird, got the ball back with 40 seconds left, tried to push it downfield and end up turning it over on downs. So I don't know. I guess it counts, but it almost doesn't really count when you're such a run heavy team and you only get 40 seconds. So really 7 out of 8 possessions, they put points on the board, and the offense is clicking. And we kind of talked about it on the post-game show. I still think there's a lot of meat on the bone in the pass game. And hopefully they flesh that out over the rest of the season. But let's kick it over to the defensive side of the ball. I saw we had a comment asking about Brandon Graham, and we'll get into some of that. But David, I'll throw it to you first here. What is your big defensive takeaway from this one?
I mean, it was the pressure on Matthew Stafford and all of the sacks. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, Fangio and his defense got to him 3 times in the first half, added 2 more in the second half, finished the game with 5. He's dialing up pressure at the perfect time. Both units are working in tandem together beautifully. The coverage unit is helping the D-line. The D-line has started to get pressure to help out in the coverage, which is something that was mainly, for most part of this year, was the coverage has been helping the D-line. So it was nice to see them help them. And it's just been a joy to watch, man. The maturation of this defense has been unreal. And Brandon Graham playing in his 206th game at 36 years old. I mean, he caused havoc all night. He came around the edge on a big 3rd down play, made a sack, pulling people's hands down. He made the Rams offensive lineman basically face plant right there on the turf. He finished the game with 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits, a pass defense, a sack. I hope this isn't the last time we see him on the field, and I know we'll talk about him later, but if it was his last time, man, he went out as good a game as anybody could ever go out.
Yeah, he was incredible. I don't know, that's probably, I'm going to say this. I'd have to go back and look, but that's the best game I remember him playing since the Super Bowl. He was lighting up the box score, and that's not just he got hurt and maybe it's the last time we saw him. And now I'm, thinking about it, looking at it through rose-colored glasses. I thought that at the time. I was just floored at how well he was playing, and definitely sucks for him. It sucks for Eagles fans in general. Hopefully he's got a speedy recovery, and he has not ruled out now, potentially coming back, seeing how the rehab goes. I would sure love to see him take one last run at one with the Eagles. But Dives, I'll throw it to you next. What is your top defensive takeaway in this one?
Yeah, I actually woke up Monday morning and I was kind of upset with the whole Brandon Graham news. It overshadowed a lot of things, which was weird. It was a weird emotion. I was psyched about the win, but Brandon Graham thing sucked. Like you guys said, he was awesome on Sunday night. I have 2. I'll go with the layup and then circle back if no one mentions him. But yeah, Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean was ridiculous, man. He was lined up against Cooper Kupp on 9 of his 37 routes, the most of any Eagles defender. He allowed 3 receptions on 11 yards on 5 targets as the nearest defender in coverage against Cooper Kupp, man. I don't think a coincidence that the Eagles have yet to lose a game since he was inserted in the starting lineup. He's completely transformed this defense, especially in that 3rd down, 4th down area for the Birds. Remember the time when the Eagles could never get off the field on 3rd downs? The Rams were 0 of 8 on 3rd down. Over the last 4 weeks, the Eagles' defense is allowing a 3rd down conversion rate of 20.5%, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen this Eagles defense click on all 3 levels defensively, and it's just refreshing to watch an Eagles squad that runs the football effectively and dominates with all 3 levels of the defense, man. It's old school football, and it just speaks to my heart.
Yeah. All right. Ryan, what is your defensive takeaway?
My defensive takeaway was Nakobe Dean. He had himself, in my opinion, an excellent game as well. He is, and I think he kind of almost hides behind, the Zach Bond, play, but Nakobe Dean is blossoming before our eyes. And, I see it every single game. And I don't know. It's like such a proud, feeling, kind of a, moment there, just because, he struggled so mightily in the beginning. And yeah, it's so great to finally see, his hard work and his dedication, finally paying off. I thought he had an excellent game. He was right there on so many plays, and I don't know. I just seem to gravitate towards kind of focusing, on him. He had a sack. He had 8 total tackles. He just, I don't know. I just can't say enough good things about Nakobe Dean and the impact that he has on this defense.
Yeah. It felt like the game that Nakobe Dean's been playing well this year. There's been struggles here or there with coverage, but he's been playing at a high level. And I think he's been overshadowed by Zach Bond, and rightfully so.
Sure.
This was a quieter game for Zach Bond. And I don't think Zach Bond played bad. He just wasn't lighting up the box score and making the impact plays. Like, he was solid in coverage and things still, but it was Nakobe Dean making the splash plays in this one. And he's been in Bond's shadow, but he's actually been playing pretty well for quite a while. And so it's nice to see him kind of get his flowers this week too.
Yeah. I think it's one of his best games he's ever had in the Eagles uniform, if I'm being honest. I mean, like Ryan said, he had the 8 tackles. He had 2 TFLs, a sack. He recovered a fumble, and he's got a nose for the ball, man. Just like he ended the game a couple of weeks ago with the pick. He's always around the football. And if you take away Dean and Cooper, I don't know where this defense is. Two young players basically playing for their first time ever. It's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, it's almost like the Eagles should draft and then play young players more frequently. Like, I remember this was a big thing of mine like 2 years ago when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles had the least snaps played by rookies in the NFL, and the Chiefs had the most snaps played by rookies in the NFL. And I've kind of been banging that drum for a while that the Eagles need to stop drafting and stashing their 1st and 2nd round picks. And you've got a 1st and a 2nd round pick this year that are making a dramatic impact on this defense. It's changed the whole identity of the defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Dives, was that your slam dunk that you wanted to make sure got mentioned?
Nope. I have one more.
Right.
What?
All right. Lay it on us.
Mill Williams. Mill Williams had a career game.
True.
He was terrific, guys. He had 3 quarterback hurries, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. He had a season high PFF grade of 87.7, 90.5 pass rush grade. And going forward, like, there's probably going to be some talk about whether or not he should be your, sub defensive end going forward as our new guy. What's his name? Chris something. kind of gets in the fold. So could we see more of a rotation with Jordan Davis and Thomas Booker and Moro Ojomo at D tackle, and then maybe Milton Williams put on the outside? I don't know. We'll see. But he had a really good game, and he's had a good stretch. In fact, he's second on the team in sacks, which is, kind of like you would never guess that.
Yeah.
And he plays so well off Jalen Carter, too. I mean, they play so well together. He banked on himself, and it's paying off because he's had a very disruptive season, man. He's been great.
Yeah. Also, like, for the love of all that's good in the world, can somebody throw a holding flag when next time Jalen Carter gets wrapped around his throat by a lineman he already beat? Like, I swear, it's the most ridiculous thing. I just watch for it now, and it's like, oh, yep, this week there were eight holds that should have been called on Jalen Carter, and none of them got flagged. And
your cut up was great. Everybody needs to go watch that. That was a wonderful cut up you made there.
Yeah,
I wonder now, like, because this is becoming a thing and it's almost kind of funny at this point, but like, wouldn't you think that the Eagles are submitting these tapes to the NFL and being like, can somebody just freaking throw a flag every once in a while? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd think it would get better at some point, but it hasn't.
But by the way that game was officiated, I'm not sure anybody cares. There might be a vendetta against the Eagles. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
It was terrible.
It was. I was telling Mark the other day that, like, I've said for years I don't like to tweet about and talk about officiating. And like the last 2 weeks have been the most rage-inducing, rage tweeting about officials during the game thing that I've ever experienced. And that's generally not my style, but it's been so bad, man.
Egregious. It's horrible.
Yeah, they want LA to win, no doubt.
The Eagles currently have the least number. The Eagles' opponents, have been flagged for the least amount of penalties and the least amount of penalty yardage so far this season. And there's other teams that, like, your net penalty yardage is pretty high, like the Ravens, that just commit a lot of penalties. The Eagles don't commit a lot of penalties, but their net is still so high because they just never get flags thrown their way. But I'll get off that soapbox because I really don't want to turn it into a whining about the officials thing. But the defense is so much fun to watch. And we kind of talked about on the post-game show how you just start to have this unflappable confidence in the defense that I don't care if you give up I do care, but if you give up back-to-back touchdown drives to start the game, I'm just like, Vic will take care of it. We're going to be fine. And it's a very different feeling from what Eagles fans have had with the defense for a long time. So, all right, let's get into our player of the games. Ryan, I'll throw it to you first here. Why is Saquon Barkley your player of the game?
I mean, listen, I do have the first pick, and I have to say Saquon. I mean, the fact of the matter is that he is just absolutely having the best year of his career. He had the best day of his career, over 300 yards. In fact, what it was, 305, which was better than 8 teams had this past weekend. So Saquon Barkley, better than 8 teams, including the New York Giants. So, yeah, Saquon Barkley is absolutely a superstar and one of the best players in the league right now.
All right. I think that's probably a good pick. It's not where I would have gone, but that's fine. I'll get it.
I get it. I have a bias.
Yeah.
David. Q. Come on, bud.
David, who is your player of the game?
I'm going to go with Brandon Graham. I mean, we went over his sacks and how impactful he was in that game. And just take a second, like what Dives mentioned earlier. I felt the same way you did Monday. Like, I wake up, it didn't feel like Victory Monday, man. I felt sick to my stomach. I mean, it just, I don't know. You root for this guy so much. He's 36 years old. He's playing like a man 10 years younger. He was leading the defense to the #1 ranking in the NFL. He's going to be sorely missed, but I know he'll be with the team on the sideline. Like he said, he's going to be yelling at every player how lucky they are that they don't have to face him. He's just such a great person who just happens to be an awesome football player too. But he is a great person first. So shout out to him, man. He is an all-time Philly great, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute legend. Brandon Graham, come back next year, please. Dibes, go to you next. Who was your player of the game?
You know I'm going to cheat. I got to go.
No,
not
allowed. Not allowed.
No cheating. No cheating.
Jeff Stoutland's not a player. Who's your player of the game?
Who's the player of the game?
Just go Milton.
It's got to be. I'm just going to say, can I say Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton?
No, one person.
I mean, those are two people, but
one person.
We're getting closer to the player of the game.
Good.
I'll tell you what. By
Jordan
2025,
Mailata. I thought he's been terrific since coming back from injury. Only one pressure in 2 games since returning. I got to go O-line. That's where I always go with this. That's, I think, the bread and butter of what will get the Eagles to a Super Bowl. That's their true identity, at least going forward. Again, 44% of Saquon Barkley's yards this year have been before contact, which is insane. Give me the offensive line, but if I had to pick one, Jordan Mailata was awesome.
All right. By 2025, we're going to have Dibes picking a player of the game without being coerced. It'll be great. I'm going to go Nakobe Dean. David said it was one of the best games he's played. I think it's bar none the best game he's ever played in an NFL uniform. So I'll take Nakobe Dean. Slam dunk game for him. Yeah. Hopefully we see him keep building on it. So
this episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Blinds.com's Black Friday sales event is happening now with our best deals of the season. Let our design experts help you make the perfect selection for your home on your schedule. We can send free samples right to you and handle everything from measure to install. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus doorbusters, and a free professional measure at the Blinds.com Black Friday sales event now. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
All right. Let's turn the page, and we're going to talk about a potential game of the year in Eagles at Ravens this weekend. Now, the Eagles get a little bit of a rest advantage because the Ravens coming off of Monday Night Football. Funny, they're both traveling from L.A. to Baltimore. I joked they should have just had the game neutral site in L.A. All the Eagles and Ravens fans would have been there anyways, I think David said. But so let's preview this one. I'll lead us off here. I think my matchup to watch is the Eagles' pass defense against the Ravens' passing attack. This Ravens' passing attack is just absurd. And, I mean, they've got an incredible run game, but their pass game is just next level. They have a plus 71.6% passing DVOA right now, which is really high. The difference between them and number 2, which is Green Bay, is the same as the difference between Green Bay and the Broncos at 19th. Wow. They are lapping the league. It's actually the second highest passing DVOA since the year 2000, only surpassed by the 2007 Patriots, which was the 50 touchdown Brady Moss year. Okay. Lamar just doesn't turn the ball over. 27 touchdowns to 3 interceptions this year. He completes 67% of his passes. He leads the league in EPA per drop back and quick game at plus 0.33. But if you can make him hold on to the ball, he drops all the way to positive 0.29, which is also first in the league. So Lamar can make you pay no matter what. Against pressure, He's second in the league. When he's blitzed, he's first in the league. He's a tough guy to play against, especially when he's got Derrick Henry as an option too. So he does have the longest time to throw in the NFL at 3.15 seconds, and Jalen is second with 3.11 seconds. So you're going to see a lot of holding the ball in this game from quarterbacks. It's funny how people don't mention it as a negative with Lamar like they do with Hurts, though. But you've got to be able to win up front if you're the Eagles. And then if you do, it still might not matter because he's so good at evading rushers. And so rush lane integrity, keeping eyes on the quarterback is going to be huge. We talked about Nakobe Dean and the game that he just had. And we talked about Zach Bond and how good he's been. The Steelers gave the Ravens a lot of trouble 2 weeks ago. Yep. And they did it by mixing up their looks. And Patrick Queen had a huge impact on that game over the middle of the field. 68% of Lamar's passing attempts target the middle of the field. And so it's going to be a big game for Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond, not just stopping Derrick Henry, but also in the pass game. It's going to be a big game for Reed Blankenship rotating down into the box. I hope the Eagles have a good plan because the Ravens passing attack is something special. So that's my matchup to keep an eye on. Dives, I'll throw it to you next. What's your matchup to watch?
These comments attacking Ryan are amazing, by the way.
It's my favorite tradition on Birds of the Round Table.
I'm sorry. I hate backup running backs. I just do. Case in point, Wendell Smallwood. Creep.
I'll go A.J. Brown versus the Ravens secondary. I'm really curious about what this defensive back room looks like for Baltimore. Statistically, on the surface, the Ravens have a bottom 3 pass defense. They've given up 400 plus or more passing yards. That's the second worst mark. They've also given up the second most passing yards per game, the second most pass plays of 20 plus yards in the league, and the most in the league with 31 completions of 25 yards or longer. So as explosive as they are on offense, they have given up a lot of explosive plays defensively through the air. However, they've played better lately, and that's worth noting. They held the Chargers to 16 points. They frustrated Justin Herbert. A lot of that was the pass rush as well, but mostly I'm excited to see Nate Wiggins and what this guy's all about. I was a big fan of his throughout the draft process. He had a really good game against the Chargers. Hit my man Jalen Reagor pretty hard there. Then had really good coverage on a deep ball from Justin Herbert in the end zone. So Nate Wiggins is definitely one I'll be watching. 6 tackles, probably his best game as a pro last week. So enter A.J. Brown. Again, had one of the quietest 109 and a touchdown game you'll ever see. And he's been truly Mr. Explosive play this season. 727 yards on 39 catches. Is literally among the tops in the league, and he's only played 8 games. And more specifically, Jalen Hurts has a passer rating of 128.6 when targeting A.J. Brown, making them one of the top duos in the league. So A.J. Brown, the Ravens aren't going to have an answer. Nobody has an answer for A.J. Brown, and that's what I'll be watching.
All right. A.J. Brown, Nate Wiggins. On paper, that's such a mismatch. But Wiggins has been so good this year. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. David, go to you next. What's your matchup to watch?
I went the Ravens run game versus the Eagles defensive line, Derrick Henry. I mean, in a lot of ways, their offense mirrors what the Eagles do. Saquon has 1,392 rushing yards. Henry has 1,325. Nobody else in the NFL has over 1,000, which is kind of crazy. Eagles are first, averaging 193.4 rushing yards a game. The Ravens are second with 180.2. They both run on first down quite a bit. The Eagles, I think, are first in the league at like 47%. The Ravens are at like 40%. So this is going to be one of those games where they're going to have to focus on the run. When Derrick Henry runs for 90 or more yards, the Ravens win. So it can't be something that they try to switch to later in the game. It's got to be an emphasis right from the start. And losing Brandon Graham is a big loss. I mean, he kicks inside and Bond goes to the outside to play edge a lot. BG is an elite run defender, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on the existing tackles. Jalen Carter, who is already having an all-pro season, but they're going to have to get more from him. Milton Williams, like we discussed earlier, they're going to need a lot out of him. Jordan Davis is going to have to play more snaps. And new arrival Charles Harris, I don't know what they're going to get out of him, but they're going to have to get something. The Ravens also are averaging 6.97 yards per play, which is currently the second best in NFL history. Not this year, the second best in NFL history, which is just crazy. So they're going to have their work cut out for them.
All right. Yeah. And I saw a comment earlier that we didn't mention at the time. We might have thrown it on the screen, but Nakobe Dean is small. Derrick Henry's big. That's going to be something to watch too, and see how that plays out. Ryan, I'll throw it to you here. Bring it home for us. What's your matchup to watch?
Yeah, it's going to be the Eagles rush attack versus that Ravens run defense. They have been exceptionally well recently. Just looking back at the last, 5 or so games, not a single rusher has gotten over 65 yards, and they've let up only 120 yards to the Broncos, I believe it was. So as a team, generally, they don't let too much through. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, with Saquon Barkley, considering every single thing that, Saquon has been doing this year, to kind of have him go up against this, one of the best run defenses in the league. Looking back at his last 5 games, pretty much domination. 255 against the Rams, as we know, 146 Washington. Not so great against the Dallas, but again, only really got 14 carries there, 66 yards against Dallas, but 159 Jacksonville, 108 against Cincinnati. So, it's basically kind of being, one of those immovable objects versus, what's the old saying? Movable force versus unstoppable. I don't know. I forgot.
Immovable force or immovable object meets unstoppable force. That's
yeah, exactly. One of those things. So, but yeah, so it's certainly going to be a nice matchup to see, because the Ravens defense, especially the rush, well, most specifically the rush defense, has been exceptionally well. But so you also look at Jalen Hurts' impact as well on that. So hopefully just the threat of Jalen, maybe some RPO action stuff might, hesitate them just enough for us to kind of build. But, Saquon's been bullying people, and slowly but surely, he tires them out, and that's how he wins. He dominates in the fourth quarter. So hopefully Saquon can continue to do the same. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. Yes, Stubbs. You're muted. Wow. What
raising your hand. And
you're right.
Yeah. I'm excited just on the Ravens defense. I'm excited to see how they use Kyle Hamilton in this one. We have to talk about him before we wrap this up, because he's probably my favorite non-Eagle. And I don't really watch a lot of non-Eagles football. I should have been, exactly. He's a guy that can play and dominate up front. He's a guy that, like last week, can be a deep safety and dominate in coverage. He's all over the field. I can't wait to see what the Ravens plan to do, whether that's him covering our wide receivers or Jalen Hurts or Saquon. He's going to be all over the place.
If I can add to the running backs, no running back has ran for more than 88 yards versus the Ravens defense this whole year. Yeah. And coincidentally, that was Sydney's brother Chase, who had 88. So
yeah, earlier in the season. Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to just kind of look last couple of games, and they've been
nobody's doing it.
Yeah, nobody. You know what, Q? You show me the tape where I said that. It might be true, but I'd still. You're gonna have to show me the clip.
All right, let's get into our picks and our player of the game. Score predictions are over-unders. We will update our stuff from the previous weeks. Is that fully updated now, Dibes?
Yeah, that's what we got.
All right, so shockingly, Dibes keeping the score and nobody's double checking it, but he's leading the pack with 55 correct this year. Ryan is in last with 43. That tracks. I've got 47.
I missed a week.
David has 50. Yeah, I missed a week too, I think. One of the weeks, my son's baseball is going to cost me the season, but we will dive into it. This week, let's start off with our score prediction. No, we start with score prediction. Start with our score prediction. Dives, what do you have?
Damn it. All right. What did I say last night? I'm going to stick with it. I think the Eagles do win this. You know, you go back to like when the schedule was released, I didn't think this was going to be a W for the Birds, but I am going to go an Eagles win. I'll go a close game, 32-28. Eagles.
All right. And that puts you over 50.5 as well. Ryan, what do you have?
I'm also gonna say it's a close one. I'm gonna go 30-28.
Eagles?
Of course.
All right. That puts you on the over.
I think David and I are running a streak right now of picking the Eagles about 78 times in a row, where you two bums, you traitors, are go against the family.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. I am going to go 28-27 Ravens. I think the Ravens, unfortunately, take this one. So that'll put me on the over, but I got the Ravens edging the Eagles out in this one. David, what do you have?
I'm going with the Eagles, 26-22 under.
All right.
I'm sorry. That was the Eagles?
Of course. Yes. Keeping the streak alive.
All right.
All right. Let's go player of the games. David, we'll run it in reverse order here. Who do you got for player of the game?
Jalen Carter, because he's going to have to be if they're going to contain Derrick Henry.
I think the book's out on Jalen Carter at this point. You just like bear hug him and tackle him to the ground, and you won't get flagged. So
double team him, hold the shit out of him, and then just try to force him down on the ground.
Just grab his face mask and don't let go. It's fine. It's a legal football move. Right. I'm gonna go. Give me AJ Brown. I'll go AJ Brown for my player of the game. He's going to have to be, right, for the passing offense. He's going to have to be your guy, especially if Devontae Smith's not back, which, by the way, no injury report yet. That's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he's cleared off of that. But, Ryan, who do you have for player of the game?
This one's tough. I think, Saquon does have a decent game, but I don't think I want to pick him for player of the game. So I'm gonna go a little outside the box. And I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert. Somebody who I honestly have not believed in this year, and rightfully so. He's really only shut up for a few games. But I'm hoping that this is another one of the games he actually shows up. So we need him, because we're going to need more than just A.J. Brown.
Picking the guy that's going to be guarded by Kyle Hamilton is a bold decision. All right, Dives, I'll throw it to you. I hope you're right. I'd love to see that breakout game from Goddard. Dives, who do you have for player of the game?
Ryan, that was a really good pick. I'm going to go.
Hey, wait a minute. Get that out of there.
All right, I'm going to go Zach Ball.
Watch him get 2 touchdowns this week.
I know, right? Oh, my God.
I'm going to go Zach Bond. I feel like he's been a little quiet, not playing at his best in the NFL self in previous weeks. Give me Zach Bond hounding Derrick Henry and making a big stop here and there on Lamar Jackson behind the line of scrimmage.
All right, let's run through our over-unders. Over under Jalen Hurts touchdowns. Assuming by total touchdowns, it's passing and rushing at 2.5. Dibes, where are you headed?
I'm gonna go over.
All right, Dibes has the over for that one. Ryan, what do you have?
Well, if you could see me, I was warming up. I'm gonna go. Oh, there I am. I'm gonna go over.
All right, Ryan has the over.
All right. I should have happened.
The Eagles have struggled a bit in the red zone lately. I'm going to take the over, though. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I'll take the over. But
by the way,
that's a good number because that one's tough.
By the way, like if you wanted to like boil this game down, you look at red zone and who can get touchdowns over field goals. The Ravens are the best team in football in red zone efficiency. So it's going to be absolutely vital for the Eagles to be smart and efficient down there.
Yeah, it's funny that so the Ravens are first offensively and the Eagles are fifth defensively. So it's kind of strength on strength. And then the Eagles are 16th offensively and the Ravens are 15th defensively. So it's kind of mid on the other side of the ball. But David, what do you have? Over under 2.5 touchdowns for Jalen?
I'm going under. I got him with just 2 touchdowns.
All right. Derrick Henry versus Saquon Barkley. Who gets more rushing yards? David?
I'm going Saquon.
All right. I am also going to go Saquon. I think the Eagles are going to lean into the run a little more than the Ravens might. So I'll take Saquon. Ryan, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go Saquon. It's going to be a nice battle between the top two. All right, Dives. I got it. We're having a good time.
All right, and Dives also has Saquon. Dives, Hurts or Lamar? Who has more rushing yards?
Oh, my God.
Give me Lamar's not been moving the ball on the ground lately. Given what we've seen from the Eagles, I'm going to go Jalen Hurts with keeping Lamar Jackson under like 40, 50 yards.
All right. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Lamar here. I don't see how he doesn't get more yards than Hurts.
All right. I'm going to take Hurts. I think the Ravens, like Dive said, haven't been running Lamar as much. Now, maybe they do because this is a huge game, or maybe it's not that huge of a game because it's cross-conference. I don't know. But the Eagles have been designing a lot of runs for Hurts, and I think they'll continue to do that. So, David, where do you lean here?
Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
All right. David, Zay Flowers receptions. Over, under 3.5?
Under.
All right. I will take the over for Flowers, 3.5 receptions. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I think he gets slightly over.
All right. Dives, what do you got?
I'll go over.
All right. And then Dives, touchdowns for Mark Andrews. Over, under 0.5 touchdown.
I'll go over.
All right. I will also take the over. Oh, I skipped Ryan. My bad. Ryan?
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, I'll go over. I'll go over.
All right. David?
Over.
All right. And final one, over, under Eagles rushing yards allowed. 139.5. David?
Wow. Over.
All right. I will take the under. Ryan?
That's a really good line. You know what? I'm going to say under.
All right. Dives, bring it home.
I think it's going to be right around there. I'm going to go slight over for me.
I'll let you take that exactly if you want to.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Our preview, our picks, all that stuff. Thank you guys for joining in. should be a great game on Sunday. I'm really excited to watch it. Obviously, eating some Thanksgiving leftovers. It's going to be a great time, but we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us every Tuesday night. We'll throw it around the horn here and get final thoughts and plugs. Dibes, give us your final thoughts. Let the people know where they can find you.
Time to break some records here because Lamar Jackson has been killing it against the NFC. The dude is 23-1 in his career against the NFC. It's going to be 23-2. I do think the Eagles will get the W, and can't wait. We'll be back for postgame. I will be back for postgame as normal. Can't wait.
I, too, cannot wait to not have to host the postgame show. I don't know why hosting a postgame show is different than any other show.
You are like, does not compute. You're like, I don't know what to do anymore.
I hate hosting post game shows. I don't know why. So I'm glad Dives is going to be back because I don't have to host that one. David, I'll throw it to you next. Final thoughts. Plug your stuff, man.
Hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. You can follow everything I do out at PHL Eagle News. I have a piece coming out tomorrow for Metro Philly and Philly Sports Network. Thanking all of y'all watching. Thanking all of the fans. So give it a read tomorrow. And follow all these people. Follow Eagles Pin Pull, all the content. Even though it's a holiday week, I am pretty sure that there's probably about 13 hours of content being released on the channel. You will not find any downtime. If you're riding Thanksgiving Day to someone's house to eat, there will be plenty of material for you to listen to.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, if all else fails, just throw the earbuds in at the Thanksgiving table. You don't want to talk to your family. Nothing good happens in family conversations at Thanksgiving. Just you got to listen to the podcast about the Eagles. Maybe your family will get hooked on it too.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do it after an election. Just really bad.
For sure.
All right, Ryan, I'll throw it to you. Final thoughts, any shocking revelations, anything you want to throw out there to the people?
Well, first and foremost, you can follow me right here at Philly Sports PSA. Please make sure you're following the Eagles Pin Pull Network. I am debuting my show, Football Smack Talk show tomorrow, or well, it'll be live tomorrow. Not sure when it'll be available podcasty wise, but still, it's nice to bring that show back. It's I've been doing a show with my podcast partner for over 15 years. So it'd be nice to get back to talk with him. Other than that, listen, can you pull up the last cue? Thank you. Listen, I'll even go 0.5. And if he goes over, I will do something special next week. And something related. That's all I can say. So stay tuned. Who knows what might pop up. So,
all right. So everybody needs to be pulling for a Kenny Gainwell touchdown.
Back-to-back weeks, baby. Let's go.
Because we'll have a surprise on the show next week if Kenny Gainwell manages to find the end zone. Yeah, he did find the end zone last week.
Yeah, man.
So it was the
Ryan's
first time
going to show us he has a Gainwell tattoo all these years.
Yeah. It's actually on my back. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to about do it. Thank you guys for joining in. Thanks for following along with all the stuff. We certainly appreciate you guys. I hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I hope you eat lots of turkey, dressing, whatever your favorite is. Hope you're stuffed on Sunday still as you sit down to watch the Eagles pummel the Ravens and then tune into post-game show and hang out with us again. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. 5-star ratings and reviews on podcasting platforms is greatly appreciated. Follow these guys on Twitter. Dibes is at Mr. Crockpot. David is at PHL Eagle News. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA. I am at Shane Half NFL, and we will catch you guys next time. Go Birds.